at this time going to focus a bit about scaling or or scalaing maybe. So uh, basically, sometimes you need bigger, nicer looking pictures, and we have various ways to do this. Sorry, you can't see me, but I will talk anyway. So you can see the screen, so I hope that, well, that's actually better. So one of the things we can use is like the normal convert, like out of it or zoom or thing that, and you can define what filter that you want to use for doing your scaling. But there are, of course, other ways, and we have a few ways to make bigger, nicer pictures. So I prepared a small project about this. And what I will do is sort of just fire away and start having a look at these ways we can do it. So I'm just going to open my project, and you can see I have various types of output formats and stuff like that. And I also have various types of media. So everything from SD to HD or wherever you want to go, and talk a little bit about what's important when scaling, etc. So first of all, we can look on what type of scaling do we have. So of course we have the normal pan and scan, which we can use to use various types of filtering like Lancaster, zoom, bicubic, and so on. And normally that's just fine if you want to do a little bit of things. We also have other tools. We have the upscale, DVO upscale. The thought about DVO upscale originates from doing SD to HD transform. So it makes nice looking pictures from that. You can of course use it for other, but that's the main thinking of it, to create a picture with some texture and things. We have the zoom, which is very nice scaler. It is very accurate and does a very good upscaling, which is very accurate and very low ringing or anything. So and basically thought of going from 2K, 4K, or working with maths and stuff like that when you need very accurate and nice things. And of course, you have the DVO upscale. So if you look on the DVO upscale, we do have some parameters in here. So basically, I can go through these quickly. And if I just jump to a shot somewhere and go back to my upscaler, Scala. Here we have a description of the source. So what details do we have in it, and how noisy is, etc. And if I just go back to look on the source media, we can see this is the original HD material, which you can see over here. And if I go up with it, you can see it's rather grainy, etc. If it's possible to see that through the webinar, but I hope you can see some at least. So in this case, I can tell it to be high level of grain. So basically going back now, we can look at the sky. So I have somewhat in a nice looking texture. So one of the D with the Scala is to create largest nice looking picture. And that means also disintegrating current noise to some extent in order to be able to build on textures afterwards. So you can add things like DVO, regrain, RGB, etc. on if you need something. But as you see, I have here a grain level set is high. If I lower this to minimal, you can see that it actually brings along all the grain, etc. on it. But in this case, I kind of like it nice and neat. You also have details level. Maybe you can look in the grill in the car. I'm not sure if, try to see if you can see it. So I tell it to have high detail. So it try to pick up as much detail of the image as possible. If I go low here, you can see that you get slightly less details out of the thing. So it depends a lot upon your source material. So both of these are quite important that you, if you want to do perfect scaling, this is sort of a description of your source material. We also have things like grain suppression. So yeah, we suppress it. I can lower it, that it will suppress less, or I can reset it, push it, disintegrate it slightly more, and sharpen also things that can look at more details in the details that comes out. I haven't looked so far on what it actually does and compared with others, but we get there. But just going through slightly what these things are. So how to zoom. So if you look on here, I have some SD material. It's a fit inside. I can like disable it. Then I will have the original source footage. I can tell it to sort of, okay, scale it 4 times, for instance, and then it scales it up 4 times, or whatever you need to do. You fill inside what you normally want to do, but I can also tell it fill full with crop, so it actually try to extend it to make a larger image and cropping the top and bottom. So it's the normal things that you can do, so you recognize it. You can offset it, turn it up and down, and so on. So another important thing here is like display aspect ratio. So in this case, I set the source to be 4:3 because my source is a PAL footage. So default is the pixel aspect ratio. So if I change to that one, you will see it squeezes it in. But in this case, I want it to be 4:3, so I keep the pixel aspect ratio. So so depending if you come from one thing to another, here is where you can set these, and the same thing with your destination, etc. But normally, with most material, you're working with square pixels, so storage aspect ratio is mostly good for most things. So so that is basically a little bit of things. What we can have a quick look is now on so this is going from PAL up to Ultra HD. So if we look now on the details here on this belt or whatever, you get some quite nice looking things. And compare this with, for instance, a Lancos filter. Well, you have some more noise, but you still see that you can. I'll try to make it larger so you can see it slightly better. That you get some nicer edges and so on. So it's what we call an intelligent upscaler, or Scala is. So it's based upon technology evolved out of AI and neural networks, but it's pushing it a bit further, so we can find objects in, so we can get some kind of nice things. So so looking with a normal scaler, in this case Lancos, we have the zoom, which is nice as well, or we have the DVO upscale. Here you can see it builds much more texture and stuff, but it's getting a bit too steep for it, but in this one is sort of giving a very nice looking material to do it. Let's quickly move on to something else where we can definitely see the difference. So this is some SD show you might remember. It's spitting image, and you have quite some details and stuff on it. So if you look on this one, and if you take a closer exam at it, we can see. Well, I can show you the source media first. So it's down here in the corner. So this is how the source actually looks. I used a deinterlacer as well because it is interlaced material as well. So you can see that's stripy, but it has not too much detail. But going back to the Scala, you can see it upscales it very nice, and you get some smooth edges and stuff because it finds these objects and defines them in a nice fashion. Comparing this with, for instance, like the Lancos filter, you can see it does a good job, but you get, can probably see here, a bit rough edges and stuff compared with what you get using the Scala, who does a really nice job in this. You can see it also maybe on the horns here, that it brings it all together. Yeah, in the face here as well, that it sort of brings it so you get this kind of look that you actually want to have rather than what you get with just some upscaling. So it's more than just upscaling; it's also building a texture and stuff. So let us move on, and here is another sample where we can see the use of the grain suppression is kind of nice. And also, if you focus on, for instance, like some details here, we have the background here and the details, but looking on the things with just a Lancos or the zoom, they're quite similar in this case. You get a very nice something that look much more high res and so on than it otherwise would be. You can see it up in the trees here as well, that you get some more details, and you can see that the branches get more things, but still this is quite large things. So another thing that you especially can see when you do upscaling is, for instance, when you have titles. So what happens is, let's zoom it up here a bit. You can see you get quite some halo around the edges and stuff. So it's not really clear. Using them, and this is with Lancos filter, it gets slightly better with the DVO zoom. But using Scala, you can see it cleans it up in a very nice fashion. As you can see, this is some standard definition footage, so it's also suffer from cross color or that one. So if I were to add another filter like cross color ahead of Scala, that would sort of deal with that one as well. So you get rid of those issues, but never mind. You can do everything with your kind of texture, and as you can use it in various way. Looking here, we have some typical cases. Also here we can start looking on like black on white or white on black, so you can get how does it look with various types of scaling if you have titles or anything. So when you want to scale titles, etc. So with Scala, it's fully readable. Going to, for instance, Lancos, you start to see that you get some things in there versus something that is actually looks very, very nice when looking on it. Also we have things like edges. So what happens also if you have this schematics, whatever. So with the Scala, you can see the lines are very nice and etc. But go in here, you get some hailing or some edges around it, so you get some sort of shimmer around things versus using the Scala. So you get a much clearer something that actually look 4K or more. Here we have some zebras. So with Scala, the lines look pretty natural. Going to more traditional scaling, you can see that you get some jagginess. It doesn't look like it's the zebra's natural lining anymore. Whereas this object or this intelligence in it makes it smooth and looks extremely good. Yeah, also things like here we have some yeah, animation or whatever. So doing this, you can see you get a very clear looking image, versus if I have a Lancos or a zoom, you can see that you have some disturbances, that you get some interference between the scaling versus this. So you get a very clear thing going back and forth. You can also see on the lettering here, if I turn it off and on, that you get something that looks like something that you want to see. So that was in short what it does. It does a really thing. And if I want to do it going up to 8K, well, I just turn it to 8K, and it does a really nice scaling there as well. So no matter where you want to go, so now it gives a perfect thing. And then again, okay, so, but I'm not saying you always have to use it, because sometimes it's enough with another thing. This one is very heavy to do. We require more modern processors, so at least have the AVX2 CPU instructions to be able to run it, because it's a very heavy processing to do these analyses and so on. We also thought of adding the texture control, like adding some kind of regrain. Now you can actually have to manually do that in this case. So you can add like a regrain RGB just to give it a slightly more texture. Maybe if I take it to more normal levels, so you can get some more feeling into it if needed, but it's still, you have this very sharp edges and so on. So who is using this one, and why is it? I spoke with Jack Jones today from Roundtable Post, And he just recently did a movie that's available on Amazon now. It's about a famous tennis player called Andy Murray. It's called Andy Murray Resurfacing. And so he's been on for a while, so he has, and the productions was a 4K, so he had to deal with various type of archive footage. So, and in order to build a consistent look, and also something that looks very nice, even in 4K, he tried various types of scaling devices like Alchemist and DaVinci and Zoom and so on. But he figured out that this one is actually, with the ability to work with the texture from the start and so on, could actually build you an extremely good result and build the texture and content that you're after. So, so this was a short introduction of something. So, but that's what it's more or less about. And if you have any questions, so please fire away. So, all right. So, yeah, Gustavo says thank you, and I'll say thank you back for attending, the whole lot of you, for visiting us here in the times that we have. But it's let's do the best of it. So, and well, in times like this, well, start to use your archive so you can repurpose your media. And Scala is a good way to do it, I guess.
And Björn, I just want to say to you know, all the guys on the webinar, just to say, so that
if there's nothing more, I hope I covered most of it. If not, please hammer us with questions later on, or if you don't have anyone right now. I would call it today, a morning, or whatever time zone you're all on. So, yeah, that's nice. Have a good one, everyone. And I'm saying over and out, and take care, everyone.
And just to finish that, guys, if you're still online, just to let you know that with the coronavirus is what's happening at the moment. If you need licenses to work from home, just let us know. If you're on full maintenance, we can do that. So yeah, just email into licensing@digitalvision.world, and we'll help you out with the licensing so you can work from home. And yeah, thanks again, Björn. And yeah, all you guys keep safe, and we'll speak to you soon.